Alright, Michael Laurie everyone, and welcome to a tag video. I want to say a few days or so ago, my good friend, whose channel name is Slice of Scott, which is Scott, so greetings to you. You didn't, well, I suppose you can say, I guess you requested it, but it was on my package opening video where you mentioned that if I did a tag video for you, you could do a showcase of something. And I think you also said that a friend of yours might also be able to, get involved in this. So I thought this is maybe like a fun kind of video to do. So I would tag, not only you, Scott, and your friend, but maybe I could think of like a couple other people I could tag. But none of you guys, of course, have to do it. If you don't want to. I just, thought I would tag additional people. It is August 28, 2024. And I had to think like a few days, what kind of video was I gonna make, but I think I came up with one. At first I was thinking something sci-fi, but I believe I showcased these films because I wanted to show like this kind of like holy trilogy of the golden age of sci-fi. But I think it now goes beyond just 3 films, now that I think about it. And I think I showed these films when I did a Starfield video sometime last year, where I showcased, I think it was The Day the Earth Stood Still, Forbidden Planet, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, This Island Earth. I think I showed those. So I didn't want to, just just show the same thing and have like the same kind of idea. So I thought maybe this tag video will be about, and again, this is for you, Scott. I'm tagging you, but what I'm going to show quickly, it's one one case, but there are 3 films in there. But there's, I think, a few franchises. I could show one other thing, okay, in addition to this one, but a trilogy, or maybe in some cases more than a trilogy. So that you felt maybe was underrated, or maybe there was 1 or 2 bad ones in the bunch. But again, it doesn't have to be a trilogy. It could be like is it called quadrilogy, just whatever film series that you want to show that you felt either was underrated, or there was maybe 1 or 2 of them that were bad in the bunch, that maybe now it seemed like it tarnished the entire series, but you still like it, or you didn't really think it was that bad, or you thought it was okay. So that is what the video is going to be. And I thought that I would show the Yui Bowl. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but Uwe or Yui, which is U-W-E, is his first name, and last name is B-O-L-L. Uwe Bowl, or Yui Bowl, or U Bowl. His trilogy of In the Name of the King, and the first one stars Jason Statham, which is at the top. The second one is Dolph Lundgren, and I think his name is Dominic Purcell, which maybe a lot of you folks know from Prison Break, from Legends of Tomorrow. He was also Dracula in Blade Trinity, so there's a trilogy you can talk about right there. But I'm mostly going to focus on the first one. The other 2 are okay. I'll start off by saying, these 2, they went more with a time travel approach to the franchise. In the Name of the King is Um, I suppose loosely based off of, especially the other two sequels to it, but based off of the Dungeon Siege games called, well, yeah, Dungeon Siege. Um, and the first one starring, this has a hodgepodge of just mismatched cast. Besides Jason Statham, we have the beautiful Claire Forlani. We have Ron Perlman, Burt Reynolds as the king. We have Matthew Lillard in here. We have Ray Liotta as the evil wizard. I forgot his name. We also have Jonathan Rhys Davies as the magus, which is the mage to the king, kind of like a court wizard, right? We also have the beautiful Lily Sobieski as the daughter of the magus, who's something of a spell sword or battle mage, if you will. And we have also the beautiful, what is her name? The Liquid Terminator actress. Her name. Hold on. Her name is Kristana Lokan. Kristana Lokan is in here. She's kind of like a druid in here, and so it's just a crazy cast of of actors in here that you wouldn't think would interact together, but they do. A lot of people, hated on that film, and it is a bad film, but I feel as if it's an entertaining film, and the fighting can be it's anachronistic in a way. It's out of place. Jason Statham, known for his martial arts, doing his martial arts fighting, in here, it just doesn't look right. But it's still funny, and we have ninjas in here, and the lines are just cheesy. And I have to say, to me, it was satisfying seeing Lily Sobieski in here. I think her name is Ariella. And I enjoy films I've seen her in. She was, of course, in Joyride. She was also in the TV, miniseries of Joan of Arc. And that one, of course, had a very unsatisfactory ending, as with any Joan of Arc story, because it's not really a spoiler, but Jean gets burned at the end. But she was something of a fighter, In here, she has the first one, she has a satisfactory ending, and she develops her mage-like skills, let's say. She's not in it a tremendous amount. She's in it, I'll say, a decent amount, but she doesn't really fight a lot. I could think of maybe a few instances where you see her fight, but it's very brief. She does have some scenes here and there, somewhat brief, but it was still nice to see her in here. And the one fight when she's sparring with one of the soldiers, soldiers of the king, I thought that was a cool looking fight scene. It shows how tough she was. So I really like that. And just near the middle end of the film, she dons this armor, this kind of like steel plate armor, and she looks beautiful in it, and tough and everything, and super cool in it, I think. The way to go, the version to see, is the director's cut of this, which runs like about 40 minutes longer than the standard 2 hours and, just little over 2 hours long, runtime of the film. But that 40 minutes extra to me, adds, scenes that I think are, some of it can be a little bit like filler, and it might seem like it extends it a bit longer, but I found some of the scenes to be, worth watching. The cinematography is also great in here. Cinematography. And there are some funny lines that are included in the director's cut of the film that you don't see in the theatrical. For example, there's one scene in particular where Matthew Lillard, who's Duke, I forgot his name, but Duke Foley or something like that. I think it began with an F, but he's Duke something. He wanted the plan, because he wants to be king. He wanted the plan to speed up a bit. So there's a part to move along quickly. So he's complaining to Ray Liotta, and Ray Liotta, and this scene was deleted, he said, "So, you wish to accelerate things? Fine, let's accelerate." So it, lines like that. You presume too much. You think, and this is a scene with Ray Liotta and Ariella, which is Lily Sobieski. You presume too much. You think that you can come into my chambers out of nowhere. He goes, "No, I come into your chambers from somewhere." So the lines are extraordinarily cheesy, but it wasn't done on purpose like that. You know how there's some films where they make it bad quality on purpose, like grindhouse films, right? When back in the 70s and 80s, when they used to do that, they did that because of budget constraints. They didn't, if they could have made it better and better quality and better picture quality, they would have, just like with Roger Corman, right? If he had access to better special effects, he would use them, but he didn't have the funding. So these people, made use of what they had and the money that they had to work with, and did the best they could. That's the same with Uwe Boll with this film. I'm sure he thought he was making gold. Similarly to Ed Wood, right? One of the worst directors, but he's an entertaining director for sure. Just like him, I think In the Name of the King, at least the first one, is his best work. He did. Another thing I could think of immediately is House of the Dead. He likes making things based off of video games, it appears. But it is an underrated film. It's cheesy and it's good to laugh at. I do like the camaraderie that Jason Statham's character, his name is Farmer, and Ron Perlman and Claire Filani's brother in here. They kind of had this camaraderie for a while when they're traveling, to get to their destination. Was quite good. Tell me, Duke, what do you know about a man named Farmer? Well, one must assume that he farms. Yes, I know that. But what if he is something more? It's absolutely cheesy dialogue. And in a role, Ray Liotta in here is in a role that you just would not expect to see him in. He's mostly in like a gangster type film, a modern day film, not an evil mage, Funny thing about Krug, they have no king, so I made myself their king of the Krug, stuff like that. Burt Reynolds in here as King is horrible, but again, it's very laughable and funny. And to hear, how do you know these things? Is what Farmer says, and Burt Reynolds says, I know it because I am king. I'm expected to know these things. But, Burt Reynolds has that kind of, New York accent or whatever, kind of, accent that Burt Reynolds has, the way he talks. He doesn't fit the medieval fantasy genre. He doesn't have, the speaking voice for it, and yet here he is in this film. But it is very underrated. Do watch this one. Okay, it's just it's a fun fantasy film to check out. While you're at it, you can check out the other two. They're good too, but I think the first one is the best. They try to connect it. They try to show some kind of correlation in the second film, because they bring up the old king, which was a farmer, even though the world looks completely different. And again, I have to bring up the cinematography in the first film is beautiful. Amazing. So that's where it's a little confusing, because it's a cheesy film, cheesy dialogue. The music, while is not really bad, but because they play it over and over again, like reusing the same kind of track for almost like similar part, it makes it seem kind of corny and cheesy, but it's still a decent soundtrack. But you look at this cinematography, and if you just came in the middle of it and saw the cinematography, you would think this was a really great, Academy Award winning film, something like that, but it is not. But it is an entertaining film. Keep in mind, it is cheesy, it's very laughable, but I think it's underrated. A guilty pleasure, and it's one that I enjoy watching from time to time, the director's cut. As I said, the other two are also still, entertaining watches as well, and still good. Okay, so this is, in the name of the King trilogy is, my pick, one of my picks for underrated, trilogy, but you could pick something else. I mean, for example, or Scott, you could pick something else, and all of you guys or anyone else, who feels free to do a response video to this tag video. But let's take the Indiana Jones franchise, for example. You started off with Raiders of the Lost Ark, where it was just a trilogy, Temple of Doom, and then Crusaders of the Dark Savant. That is wizardry. I meant Last Crusade. And then we had Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and then the Dial of Destiny, which I've seen them both. I thought Crystal Skull was still okay, was still fun. I enjoyed that one. My personal favorite of that one is Last Crusade. But I saw Dial of Destiny, and I still thought that was a fun one as well. I think people hate on things too much unnecessarily. It's not the greatest of the Indiana Jones films, but it was still entertaining, and to see him back is just always a joy. The CG to de-ageify Indy did not look good. It looked pretty bad, but still. And here's something else. And this is the recent pickup, this is my brother's pickup, rather, the Da Vinci Code trilogy, starring Tom Hanks following the adventures of Robert Langdon. He's always traveling with a chick in here, right? So, here we have, I don't know who she is, but here we have Felicity Jones. I don't know who the chick was in here, but the second one stars, Angels and Demons, also stars Ewan McGregor. This is one where, I enjoy this as well, and even though I think on Blu-ray.com, and I bring this up because they gave the first film, Da Vinci Code, a 2 out of 5, even though I rate things out of 10, but they gave it a 2 out of 5. They gave this one a 3 out of 5, so that's a 1 point jump. That's makes a difference. That's a big difference, considering between a 2 and a 5, even though it's only 1 point difference. And Inferno got 3.5 out of 5. I pretty much enjoyed all three of them equally. I thought if I was to rate it out of 5, I thought it was much better than a 5. But I suppose if I was to score these, I would say the first one, because I did, since I got these, watch all three again. Actually, not again. These two I've seen before, but it was my first time watching Inferno, and I saw that one yesterday for the first time, and I enjoyed that one. But I guess I would give Da Vinci Code, let's say like an 8.25. Let's go with like 8.25 out of 10. Angels and Demons, I would give about an 8. And Inferno, I would give about maybe, I don't know, 8.25 as well. So that's, as like a quick review, I suppose. Another one I would like to throw in there, and I can't really show it, but you can kind of see, okay, right over there where my finger's pointing, that is my Scream Factory box set of Halloween. It does not include, though, the new 2018 trilogy, but I see it like this. They have like different branching, multiverses with that now, with the Halloween franchise. And I will name one multiverse storyline path, that they took. And there's actually two different Laurie Strodes. So I will bring them both up. We'll start off with the first kind of trilogy, which was I can't remember the date. Was it like 78 or 79? But the first Halloween, maybe it was earlier than that. Maybe it was like 77, right? The first Halloween film with Jamie Lee Curtis. And then you have the second Halloween, right? Where, Michael Myers burns at the end. And then you have H2O, right? And that concludes the Jamie Lee Curtis trilogy. And then they kind of rebooted that. So now you just go with the original, 77 or 78, whatever, the 70s Halloween. But then now you go to the 2018 Halloween, skipping the second one as if that didn't take place at all. So the 2018 one, where now it's Judy Greer playing the daughter instead of Josh Hartnett as the son, right? See how things panned out differently. So it's another multiverse. And then you have Halloween Kills and then Halloween Ends. So this is more like a quadrilogy. I don't even know if that is a word, but it's now like a 4-film series kind of thing. But that's the one I want to focus on, is those latest ones from the original Halloween up to Halloween Kills. Even though Halloween Ends was the worst of the bunch, there's things to still enjoy about that one. So that's one that I would bring up as well, where I think, because that one was kind of like the bad one in the bunch, but as a whole, that whole storyline I still enjoyed. My favorite one from that, aside from the original Halloween, because that is the one common denominator between, pretty much all those different paths that the different multiverses that branch off. That first Halloween is like the common denominator to them all, and I'm talking about the Thorne trilogy with Danielle Harris, that included, except for Halloween 3, which is with the Halloween masks. That's completely standalone, I believe. Maybe I am wrong, but I believe that is standalone with I was going to say Tom Skerritt, but it is not. The Thrill Me guy, Atkins, Tom Thrill Me Atkins, right? To me, of the one I'm focusing on, the 2018 Halloween, my favorite one is Halloween Kills, and I think there's a director's cut to that one. Halloween Kills. I thought that featured Michael Myers at one of his most brutal. That whole opening scene with him, a little bit past the opening, but when he escapes the fire at the end and he kills all those firemen, I thought that was a truly awesome scene to see. And the way he killed that guy with that auto axe saw thing, was quite brutal, even though it didn't completely show it, but you did see the aftermath of some of the pieces. So that is my video. Sorry if it was kind of stumbling along the way. I apologize. I'm not the same as I was able to back before to give my thoughts. I'm just not completely the same anymore. Let me just say, right. But anyways, so in addition to you, Slice of Scott, and to your friend as well, I tag you too, of course. And I suppose the other 2 people I will tag, and I want to tag people I feel as if may have an interest in doing it. But there's, of course, Movie Mike and Dean of DVD. You know, I will for sure tag you guys. So Dean, Mike, and Scott, and your friend. I tag you guys, and anyone else that's interested can do a response video. I'm not expecting really to get any, except possibly from you, Scott. But there we go. So hope you guys enjoyed, and see you.